tornadic storm, you can see it in this red polygon. This storm that has a tornado warning on it, that is the one that we are concerned about. So I'm going to go in really close here on the radar. I'm also going to remove the lightning so we can get a closer look and we can start naming off some of these small towns and communities. If you live in Sandy River, which is in Pittsylvania County, or Soapstone, get into your place of tornado shelter. This means putting as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Get into a room that hopefully has no windows in it, like a closet, a bathroom that's in the middle of your house. And if you do live in like a two-story house, make sure that you're on the bottom floor or in the basement. If you can get to a basement, that would be the #1 place that you could be. This area that I'm circling here on the radar, this is where the tornado would be if there is a tornado. And I would imagine that if you were just looking at this storm, say you were in Axton, you would probably at least see some type of lowering occurring from the storm. But at the same time, visibility is not going to be great if there is a tornado. It's very, very humid. It is very, very damp. And so visibility is not going to be very good on actually being able to see a tornado out of this if there is indeed a tornado. But let's look ahead. This storm will be near the Hinesville community coming up within the next 20 minutes and also making its way toward the Whitmell community and also near Tunstall. This would include Tunstall High School. Basically, if you live within, we'll say, 5 miles of Tunstall High School, this storm with the tornado warning is going to be moving your direction. Well, Stafford is in the Weather Center, and he is going to be running the radar and zooming us around a bit. And also, he's going to be pulling up some info, and I'll be going over to check with him shortly and to see what reports we do have from the storm spotters. But maybe you're just joining us. Maybe you're just turning on your television. It is 6:17, and this is normally when you'd be watching our regular weathercast. But right now, we have a storm with a tornado warning with it, and so we are going to stay on for the duration of this warning while we have the potential that a tornado could form. There's so much lightning with this storm. You can barely even see the rain on the radar thanks to all this lightning. So if there's a tornado, it's now going to be near Axton and moving to the north and east pretty slowly. This is not a very fast moving storm. Will, what I want you to do, could you pull a storm track on this and also check the storm vector motion on this as well? It's moving, it looks like maybe just a little bit north of due east, maybe moving about 80 degrees or so this direction here, and probably near 25 miles an hour, 20 knots, 25 miles an hour. If you could check on that storm vector motion when you pull this storm track. If you are in Danville, you're good. This storm is going to miss you. However, also if you're in Danville, you will be getting heavy rain off and on tonight and into tomorrow morning. And it's possible that you could have some flash flooding overnight in Danville. But in the immediate, this storm right here, which has the tornado warning, is going to be passing just to your north. Here is the storm track that Will is drawing for us, and we're putting some communities. Notice all of these, of course, is a very rural area, so these are some small communities. This includes Hinesville. And actually, Will, could you check the time on that? So these locations are correct. We're going to get those times updated for you because those times are a little bit off. So we'll pull that storm track again for you. There's also a severe thunderstorm warning, which is in effect for this storm. All right, thank you, Will. That one looks, yes, this one looks accurate. So Hinesville community, which I was showing you, which is right in here. If you're in Hinesville, you have time to be safe. Get into your place of tornado shelter in case a tornado does develop from this storm. When we were looking at the velocity, the storm is rotating. It does at least have broad rotation in it right through here. And if there is a tornado with this storm, it is going to be just north of Axton, and it's going to push its way into Pittsylvania County, eventually moving toward Chatham. As far as Chatham, we're looking at 7:30, so that is over, so it's about an hour away that we're going to see this storm moving your direction. So it's a pretty slow mover, and this part of the storm is also going to be staying to the north of Danville. Will, let's recenter this map. And I want to show our entire viewing area what's going on, because we have this one storm that has the tornado warning on it. And now, other than this storm, we actually do not have any more warnings in effect. Earlier, we did have some severe thunderstorm warnings near Blacksburg and also near into the west of Roanoke, including into Roanoke County. But at the moment, we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings. We just have this one storm with the tornado warning on it. So, if you're just joining us here, the time you can see on your screen, it is now 6:20. I'm George Flickinger along with Will Stafford, and we're tracking storms with a storm with a tornado warning. An actual tornado has not been confirmed as of yet out of the storm, but we are seeing some broad rotation within it. Will, let's go back to the velocity mode where we're looking at the pattern of the raindrops, whether they're going toward or away from the storm, and that can help to tell us if there is an actual tornado on the ground. But if there is at a glance, this is good news. And Mr. Stafford, could you zoom out a little bit from this? So as I'm looking at this, I do not see an obvious tornado on the ground. I do see a large area of broad rotation, but I don't see an overly tight area of rotation. So I would actually take this as some good news, but still, get in your place of tornado shelter if you are in Pittsylvania County in case this storm does end up producing a tornado. This is going to be making its way toward Tunstall High School, which is right in here. That is going to be making its way toward Tunstall coming up within the next 20 minutes. A fairly slow moving storm at this point. I'm going to go over to the Weather Center and I'm going to pull up some of the info from the National Weather Service. I'm curious to see what new info that they have, and I'm looking over Will Stafford's shoulder here. And the good news, we have not had any reports of an actual tornado with this storm. That is good news. So no tornado has actually been reported with this storm. We have had reports, though, of some wind damage in Henry County in the Fieldale area. Report of a tree that was blown down there. Another report of some very heavy rain and some flash flooding in the city of Martinsville. And that was from what we were showing you a little bit earlier, that slow-moving storm over Martinsville. In fact, we got a report that some cars actually got flooded near the city park in Martinsville from folks trying to drive through some of that high water. And so getting actually a good number of reports from Martinsville, and these have been coming in as we've been going through the newscast, and a few more reports of some tree damage as well. But we have not had any reports of an actual tornado touching down out of this storm. So, okay, I'm going to go back in front of the weather wall here, and Will, let's zoom out a little bit. Yeah, overall, I am interpreting this radar. Even though we have a tornado warning in effect, I'm interpreting this radar as good news, as I'm not seeing an overly distinct area of circulation. There's a broad circulation. This area of red, this will be wind coming this way and going back this direction here. That's the twirling of the raindrops that are being detected by the radar. But the good news, I'm not seeing an actual tornado being reported out of this, say, on the ground. Rotating broadly up at cloud level, and we may see other storms doing that as we go throughout the day. This is one of these days that we would phrase as it's a low but not zero chance of a tornado. You can see that right there. Will, let's go back to the regular rain mode of the radar so we can track the rain. And goodness, there is so much lightning with this storm. So going forward here, over the next 30 minutes, this storm, which is right now moving into Pittsylvania County, moving away from Martinsville, this is going to be making its way toward Chatham. Just to be clear, there's not a tornado warning in effect for Chatham right now. So let's say you live in Chatham, Dry Fork, or Tight Squeeze. You don't have to shelter yet. Just stay with our coverage. If we see a tornado forming, we'll let you know. But you're at least going to be getting rain and thunderstorms out of this, and you already got the rain in there in Chatham, but the rain is going to get heavier, and some strong wind, regardless of the tornado warning threat, some strong wind will be possible within this storm. Will, let's go back up toward the Lynchburg areas. We have a good number of viewers in Lynchburg just to show you what you can expect. So we don't have any warnings for Lynchburg or into Bedford, but we will have increasing rain and thunderstorms for tonight. So I can't imagine that you'd be trying to get much accomplished outside this evening. It's not going to happen anyway because we've had the drizzle today, and then here comes the heavier rain and the thunderstorms, which are gradually advancing our direction, the rain and thunderstorms. Smith Mountain Lake's getting some heavy rain, and you can also see the heavy rain down toward Roanoke, a lot of lightning and thunder as well. Well, let's go back to the tornado warning. So this tornado warning, which has been issued by the National Weather Service, this warning will continue for another 20 minutes, 21 minutes for the storm as it makes its way into Pittsylvania County. In summary, we have not observed a tornado actually touching down out of this, but if that does happen, then we'll be able to track it. But as of right now, the circulation looks pretty broad as the storm makes its way into Pittsylvania County. Will, let's remove the lightning from this. So there's definitely a rotating area on the north side of the storm. This is north of Axton. This storm has really not moved very much within the last 10 minutes of our severe weather coverage. But pulling a storm track on the storm, Hinesville, you can see it's moving your direction. It will be near you coming up within the next 20 minutes. Eventually toward Chatham, though the rotating part of the storm is still a long ways away, almost an hour away from Chatham. We'll see if it speeds up a little bit, but it is going to take a long time for the storm to move your direction. If you do live in Axton, you're safe, you're good. This rotating part of the storm is staying just to your north. And really the bigger concern that we're going to have this evening, even though we do have this tornado warning, the bigger issue that we're going to have is going to be heavy rain. I would not be surprised if a good number of you in Southside get up over 2 inches of rain, and there could be some isolated spots that get over 5 inches of rain overnight. And so I do anticipate that we're going to see some flash flood warnings issued for Southside later on, as we're going to have more thunderstorms developing as we go throughout the night. So the rotating part of the storm has now left Henry County. It is right in here. This black line you see, that is the county line. This part of the storm is going to advance its way eastward, and this is the part of the storm that has the possible tornado warning with it. I'm going to go back into the Weather Center and see what new info we have. Looking over Mr. Stafford's shoulder here, and this is good news. I am not seeing anything. There has not been a tornado reported as of yet, but the storm has produced some wind damage, and I'm reading from the National Weather Service here. The storm is moving into an area where there continues to be the potential for rotation, so I do not see this tornado warning being canceled. If you live near the Soapstone community, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see this in relation to Danville. If you live in Soapstone, get into your place of tornado shelter. The tornado, I'll circle it for you. If there is a tornado within the storm, it is going to be located right here, and this arrow that I'm going to put shows you the direction that it's moving. So this would be moving toward the tight squeeze area, which is along 29, between Chatham and Danville. It's an area that you've got a McDonald's, you have a lot of businesses, a lot of fast food places, gas stations. That's where this storm is going to be moving, but it's going to take about 45 minutes for that part of the storm to reach that area. I'm going to switch this back into the wind mode so that we can take a closer look at where the circulation is located. Yeah, as of now, I interpret all of this as good news, because you're probably just looking at the screen right now and saying, okay, George, I see some gray, I see some red maroonish color, and I see some green. This is all good news in that it's not distinct. If we were, say, seeing a huge tornado, we would see this big old blotch of red next to a big blotch of green, and we're not seeing that. Instead, it's kind of a mix of the colors. This is fantastic news. But we need to keep watching this storm as it does continue moving to the east. If you're in Soapstone, I would be in your place of tornado shelter in case a tornado does develop from this storm. If you're in Axton, you are good. This part of the storm is moving away from Axton, and the circulating part of the storm is going to stay to the north of Danville. So far, the only reports of storm damage we've had have been in Martinsville. We've had trees down in Martinsville from the storm. We've also had some flash flooding reported in Martinsville as well, but the tornadic part of the storm, that is located in Pittsylvania County. And let me move some of this around. I'm going to go back in front of the weather wall. So for those of you who have joined our normal 6 o'clock news, in fact, what I'm actually going to do here, while we are waiting to see if a storm does develop, I want to give you an overall broader outlook, because you may also be wondering what's going to be happening here over the next couple of days. So as of right now, we have this one storm. If we see a tornado developing, we will of course jump back on this. But for tonight, every single one of us have a good chance for rain, and heavy rain. You could also be waking up to lightning at strange hours of the night. This rain is going to very slowly move eastward, and we're going to see some rainfall amounts going up over 2 inches. And I would not be surprised, again, across South Side, if we do see flash flooding and some rainfall totals going up over 5 inches for tonight. The storm, you can see it right through here. A rotating part of the storm is located just north of 58. It's making its way toward Tunstall and eventually toward Tight Squeeze and into Chatham. We don't have any warnings for these batches of thunderstorms here near Christiansburg, Montgomery County toward Elston, Shawsville, Salem, and Roanoke, but that is heavy rain. So I want to look ahead and take you toward and after midnight. So this futurecast, notice how we are going to continue to see thunderstorms developing across South Side. Flash flooding in South Side, including Danville, will definitely be possible overnight. You may have trouble getting to work in the morning due to this heavy rain. It's interesting because you could be getting this flooding rain here and then back toward Lynchburg and Roanoke and Nelson County, not as much rain. Then as we go throughout our day tomorrow, you may actually be able to get some things accomplished outside, as we are not going to see as much rain. The clouds tomorrow are going to be thinner than today. And then tomorrow night, we are going to see more heavy rain and thunderstorms developing on your Wednesday evening and Wednesday night. And as far as your forecast for tomorrow, so we'll have the rain and thunderstorms early, then we'll get a break in the rain, and then more thunderstorms move in late. It's warmer tomorrow. We're reaching into the 70s. It's also going to feel super humid throughout your day. On your 7-day forecast, this weather alert day that we put on the graphics for Friday, this is going to be the rain and then wind from the remains of Hurricane Helene moving our direction. And we're going to see a lot of rainfall totals going up over 2 inches on Friday out of this. The difference for Friday is that the rain is going to be more widespread across the ABC 13 viewing area. As far as your weekend into Saturday, this forecast looks drier than it did yesterday. It looks like that we're going to have some drizzle and a few showers, but the day does not look to be a complete washout. And then for early next week, we'll see temperatures in the lower 70s and those thunderstorm chances. Right now, though, we're going to take you back to the tornado warning, and I'm going to go back into the Weather Center where Will Stafford is pulling up some info, and let's see. So some new info from the National Weather Service. In Blacksburg, they are continuing this tornado warning until 6:45. They are doing that because this storm still has some rotation with it, and there's the potential that it still could produce a tornado. Let me stop this radar view here. Also going to move the maps around just a little bit here. Let's stop this part of the show, and I want to put the warning data on top of the velocity. Okay, all right, I wanted to show you the warning in relation to the velocity. Okay, now this storm does look a bit more organized than it did earlier. See how we're now seeing a little bit larger area of green right through here? So this storm does have some strengthening rotation with it. Get into your place, or I should say stay in your place of tornado shelter if you're in Soapstone. If you're in Sandy River, part of the storm that's rotating is going to stay to your south, so you're going to be good. But the Hinesville community right through here and toward the small community of advance. Get into your place of tornado shelter in case a tornado does form from this storm, because wind is pushing out this direction here near Soapstone, and then this area of green near Hinesville, that's where the storm is sucking in air. So this storm does look better organized than, say, it did 5 minutes ago. If you're in the Whitmill community, I would get into your place of tornado shelter. All right? Right through here is where the storm is headed. It's moving fairly slowly to the east and northeast, but we're going to see this crossing right through here. And that would be near Mount Gross Road and also the Whitmill School Road, where we're going to see this. And Will is zooming into that area right now. So that's where this possible tornado is located, right through here. Even if you don't get a tornado, the storm is producing some strong wind. Just got a new radar scan. The good news out of this is that this doesn't look like a super obvious tornado, but it is still rotating. Right here is where this possible tornado is located. As far as a new storm track on this storm, you can see it's making its way toward Hinesville, still a long ways away from Chatham. And in Dry Fork, we are going to see that storm near you coming up at 7:24. So that is what that part of the storm looks like. Let's see, Will is also pulling up some info. So the storm is moving. I'm trying to pull up a storm vector on this. So the storm is only moving about 18 to 20 miles an hour. That's how storm this slow is. 18 to 20 miles an hour. So that's why it's going to take so long to make its way closer toward Chatham. This is the only storm that we have with a tornado warning. Thanks, Will. Bill's just passing me an update on the storm. So right through here is where this possible tornado is located. Okay, Will, let's refocus on the entire viewing area, and we're going to show radar view. If another tornado warning is not issued, then we'll go back to regular programming coming up at 6:45. But we're going to at least be on for the next 9 minutes while we have this storm with the tornado warning right through here as it makes its way toward the north and the northeast. I don't see anything of concern right now for Roanoke, Bedford, or Lynchburg. We do have rain and thunderstorms, some heavy rain moving our direction right through here. So if you did have something scheduled for tonight, it is going to be a washout. A part of the storm that's rotating, not super well organized, but it's definitely sucking in air. It does have an inflow notch on it, so that's why this is of concern for now. Well, let's zoom back down into the storm in Pittsylvania County. So again, as far as Danville, this is going to pass just north of Danville. Near Tight Squeeze and Blair's is where we're eventually going to see this storm crossing 29 right through here. You can see State Highway 41 coming out of, say, the north side of Danville and into Pittsylvania County. And it's going to be going right through there. On my phone, I'm also looking at radar data here, and I'm just seeing I'm not seeing an obvious tornado signature at this time. But we need to watch this because, particularly also too, when you do have a southern storm, these are the ones that you tend to watch more than others for the potential that they could produce a tornado. Will, could you pull up the temperature map? Because we do have a pretty large temperature range across the region right now. So right now temperatures are in the mid-70s in Danville compared to the mid-60s in Lynchburg. There is a warm front which is located between Danville and Lynchburg. When these storms, say they ride the warm front, you have to watch them for the potential for tornado warnings. So that's pretty interesting that we have that 10-degree temperature range. As far as Callens, if you're in the Callens area, this storm is going to be, this part of the storm rather, with the tornado warning with it, is going to be staying to the south. That's interesting. What if that's a new, Will, let's go back to the velocity signature on this. It almost looks like there's a new area that might try and develop near or just north of Brossville. So this is moving away from Axton. If there is a tornado with the storm, it is going to be located here near Hinesville. But now the newest radar scans we're getting, you can see how the green is less vivid. So that's the rotation up at cloud level breaking up a bit. Again, we would consider that to be good news. We have not had an actual tornado reported out of this storm yet, but it has produced a lot of wind damage in Martinsville and parts of Henry County. That may actually end up being the larger concern that we see out of this in Pittsylvania County. If you live in Soapstone, it is okay for you to come out of your tornado shelter. The rotating part of the storm is leaving you. If you're closer toward Hinesville, I would recommend staying in your place of tornado safety in case there is a tornado. Right through here, Hinesville, that's where if there's a tornado, that's where it's going to be located. If you're in the Vance community, this is along Mount Cross Road, right through here south of Callens, along Mount Cross Road. Stay in your place of tornado shelter. I mean, it's a doozy of a storm, even if it doesn't have a tornado with it. This is going to pass near Blair's and toward Tight Squeeze and Dry Fork, just south of, west of 29, south of Chatham. It's going to be making its way that direction as well. Here's the latest storm estimation, ETA. Very slow moving storm. The part of the storm with the tornado warning on it is still more than 30 minutes away from Dry Fork. So if you're in Dry Fork, you do not have to seek shelter at this point. We'll monitor. It's still a long ways away from you. But tornado shelter time for you in Hinesville, Vance, and also toward Whitmill. And this is looking to the north of Danville. Will, let's recenter the radar on the entire viewing area. And let's see what else that we have going on. And let's also put this back into the regular rain mode of the radar. So aside from this warning, we don't have any storms that have any severe weather warnings with them. But we do have rain and thunderstorms. Lynchburg, heavy rain will be moving in right through here. We will see heavy rain moving into Lynchburg within the next hour. Rockbridge County, rain and thunderstorms in Lexington. This extends down into Botetourt County. It's pouring in Roanoke. And one thing that I am concerned about, even though we have this tornado warning, the bigger concern that I have overnight is going to be the flash flooding potential, as there could be some spots. I've seen this before when you have these warm fronts, a lot of rain moving along the warm fronts. There could be a few spots that get over 5 inches of rain tonight and into tomorrow morning across south side. So this means that driving may be very difficult late tonight and tomorrow morning. If you know you have to work late tonight, third shift very early on Wednesday, be prepared for the potential for flash flooding in the morning. You could have water going over your road, which I know is not what you want to hear, but that's what we're going to be dealing with as we go into tonight. Elsewhere, town of Bedford, heavy rain and thunderstorms for you. You don't see a severe weather threat this second for Smith Mountain Lake, but you do have the rain, which is moving your direction. I'm going to go back into the Weather Center and want to take a look. Getting some notes here from Mr. Stafford. And so one of the things from the National Weather Service, they're also, we're in contact right now with the meteorologists, that say the radar meteorologist at the National Weather Service. They're saying that the velocity, thank you, the wind does not look quite as good as it did a few minutes ago. So they're saying what we're seeing. And I'm going to read this to you word for word. The possibility of a tornado is still there, but it's not as high as when the National Weather Service issued the tornado warning. That's coming from a meteorologist that we're at the National Weather Service that we're in contact with. So what is going to happen, we also have some new info here. So we are going to go back to regular programming at 6:45. The National Weather Service has said that they are going to allow this tornado warning to expire, meaning that the tornado warning is gone. And instead, a severe thunderstorm warning is being issued. In fact, this is the new warning right through here. Maybe you're in Blair's and you got a notification on your ABC 13 weather app of a severe thunderstorm warning. That is for the same storm. So the tornado threat will be monitored, but we're just simply not seeing the huge rotation in it right now. But instead, a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. So coming up at 6:45 to 6:46, we will be sending you back to regular programming. So we take this as good news. We've not had a tornado confirmed out of this storm, though it has produced some wind damage in Martinsville. So Will, before we go back to regular programming, let's go back to the wind mode, the velocity mode, and I want to give this storm a scan ourselves. So if you're in Danville, again, this worst part of this storm is going to pass to your north, but yes, you will get heavy rain and thunderstorms in Danville. The part of the storm that's rotating, and I would agree with the National Weather Service, it does not look as organized as it did earlier when the National Weather Service did issue that tornado warning. And the main threat that we're going to see is going to be heavy rain. Also, the threats will include, there could be some small hail. I don't think it's going to be huge hail out of this, but some small hail is going to be possible. There it is, the warning, the tornado warning has just been dropped from your screen. So we are now